how does the K-1 fiancé visa work? It's a very popular visa that is going to be whenever a U.S. citizen has a fiance that lives abroad and he or she wants to petition for the fiance to come to the United States under a visa. And then once they are here in the U.S., they get married and then file an application for adjustment of status. So the process starts when the U.S. citizen fiance, the petitioner, files the I-129F petition for fiance. The filing fee is $675 when you file on paper, and they send this petition out to USCIS. From there, you have to wait for the petition to be approved. You want to include a lot of evidence that it's a real bona fide relationship. That includes travel. They usually want to see that you at least traveled once or twice to go see the fiance and met in person. And other than that, you want to include evidence of communications that you've had between your fiance. So you submit the petition to USCIS, and then once that gets approved, then you have to schedule an interview at the consular office wherever the fiance abroad lives. Again, you will have to include certain evidence of the marriage relationship, certain evidence of the fiance relationship. The beneficiary will have to also include certain other civil and criminal documents along with a medical exam. So the fiance will attend this consular interview where a consular officer will review that application, ask any questions about immigration history, criminal history, make sure the medical exam and everything, all the paperwork is in order. So hopefully after that interview, she will get her fiance visa. She or he will get the fiance visa, and they can then travel to the United States. One important thing is that the fiance visa can also include a derivative. So if the beneficiary fiance, has a child under 21 that's not married, they can also be included in this process. So once they got their fiance visa, now they could come to the United States. They usually have a certain time limit, about 6 months, for them to come on that visa. And then once they get to the United States, you want to make sure to get married within 90 days. They have to get married within 90 days. And then after that, you can file the application to adjust status to permanent residency. When you file the application to adjust permanent residency, it could take anywhere from 9 to 15 months, I would say, is the normal times, but sometimes it could be faster and sometimes slower than that. One important thing is that once you file that application to adjust status, you're not allowed to leave the country unless you also applied for an advanced parole, a special travel document that lets you leave during that time that your application is pending. This is really important to know, because if somebody does leave while that application is pending and they don't have that authorization to travel, then they abandon their case and they will be denied. They have to start the process all over again. So once you file the application for adjustment of status, along with the travel permit, you can also include an application for employment authorization. So that's really important to do if you plan on working. With that employment authorization document, that will allow somebody to get a driver's license and to start getting settled here in the United States. So I would recommend to get that work authorization document. So during that time that the application is pending, there really won't be much for anybody to do. You might get a notice to attend a biometrics appointment where they take your fingerprints. If you do get that, very important to go. If you don't go, they could consider your case abandoned. And then finally, after waiting, somebody will get their notice of an interview. And so that's the big day where the now spouses go to their residency interview. Here in the U.S., it'll be at a USC field office, the one that's located closest to wherever you live. And then a USCIS officer will interview the beneficiary. They want to make sure that it's a real bona fide marriage, that there's no criminal history, no immigration history, or other things that might disqualify somebody. And hopefully within a short amount of time after that interview, somebody would be getting their approval and their green card. Now, if you have at this point, when they grant your residency, have been married less than 2 years, then you will get a conditional green card, a conditional residency. That means that that green card is valid for 2 years, and 90 days before those 2 years expire, you have to submit the form I-751 to remove the conditions. And with that form, you have to show that either you continue being in a good faith marriage to your spouse, or an exception applies if you're no longer married. So that's typically the whole timeline from a K-1 visa to a green card. And then another important last step would be that after 3 years of being married to a U.S. citizen, then they could also apply for citizenship themselves to naturalize. If they are no longer married after that time, then they would have to wait 5 years to become a citizen.